Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Friday. All right, finally, after weeks of hovering between the 6,800 to the 6,900 level, the index managed to break past the 7,000 level today. Local shares today rose by 0.6% to 7,002, its highest close yet since February this year. Now, Manny Ocampo, Managing Director of Investment and Capital Corporation of the Philippines, told the program earlier this morning that there's definitely more room to run that 7,000 level. He says there appears to be support for a sustainable rally for the capital markets and the economy in general. You have, of course, BSP Governor Ben Jokno saying that economic prospects, both midterm and long term, is bright on the back of loose monetary policy and the country's vaccine rollout. He says reforms in the capital markets aren't overshadowed by the pandemic, citing higher bond issuances by government and companies. Now, zeroing in on the bourse, capital raising may approximate or even surpass the records from a decade ago. Now, PSE President Ramon Monzon says capital raising has reached 122.46 billion pesos in the first half of the year, and with about six more firms, including those with REITs, planning to sell shares in the second semester. They're looking at another 120 billion pesos for the remainder of the year. Now, if realized, this may surpass the 2012 record of 219 billion pesos in 2021. Monzon says easing of REIT rules, add to that the company's drive to retire debts, drove the surge in capital raising. Now, Manny Ocampo said as well that capital raising may even hit 300 billion pesos for the year, especially with interest rates still low, which in turn will make people still more interested in investing in the equity markets. He says the three REITs alone will bring in 70 to 75 billion pesos in fundraising. Now, other developments here on the PSE, well, they're still bent on increasing minimum public float to 25%. They're also working on raising minimum capital for stock brokers to 100 million pesos from 30 million pesos to make sure that brokers have enough resources. Now, the PSE is also looking for another investor to acquire a 5% stake in the exchange. Now, shortened trading hours will also be staying as brokers prefer the shorter duration, which hasn't really affected the volume here in the PSE. Now, here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. Alert level 3 is still raised over Taal volcano. FIVOX says at least 28 volcanic earthquakes have been recorded since yesterday when Taal made its first phreatomagmatic eruption in more than a year. The agency says residents living within the 7-kilometer radius of Taal should be evacuated. Forced evacuation is being implemented in the towns of Agoncillo and Laurel. In the municipality of Laurel alone, there are over 1,000 residents that already left. The National Police says it's coordinating with the LGUs and local disaster risk reduction offices in Batangas to help facilitate needed evacuation of residents. Now, employee vaccination within the MVP group of companies has started. The group hopes to vaccinate 60,000 employees under its helm with Moderna and AstraZeneca vaccines. Chairman Manny Pangilinan expects the rollout to reach until the fourth quarter, with vaccine supply coming in tranches. The MVP group will make use of the Meralco head office and the Maynilad compound as vaccination centers for employees. Metro Pacific hospitals across the country will also be tapped. Unemployment eased in the month of May as government loosened mobility curbs in the NCR Plus bubble. Now, economic managers are upbeat that this points to an economy on the mend. But is the labor market really on the road to recovery? Let's find out more from Labor Assistant Secretary Dominique Tutay. Good afternoon, Asik Tutay.
Good afternoon, Jess, and thanks for having me here at Business World Live.
Okay, so Asik, how much of the decline in unemployment for the month of May can be attributed to lighter restrictions in Metro Manila and nearby provinces mid-May?
Yeah. So that's about 1% decrease in our unemployment rate, and that is equivalent to about 410,000 unemployed persons who were, well, that's the decrease level. And in terms of employment, we were able to gain about 1.45 million between April and May when we have lifted down the um, restrictions during the ECQ and MECQ in NCR Plus bubble.
So, given that, how many jobs at least were created or regained during that period wherein restrictions were loosened in the NCR Plus bubble?
Yeah, that's 1.45 million employment that were regained between April and May. And in terms of the unemployed persons, there was a decrease of about 410,000
Mhm.
people.
Okay, do we have any idea on which sectors and industries posted increases in employment numbers for the period, for the month of May?
Yeah, the PSA noted construction, retail and wholesale, public administration, and also agriculture.
So those are the primary sectors here that posted increases. But with NCR placed under GCQ in June, how are employment numbers looking up for the previous month?
We have yet to see the impact of the GCQ in June when the Philippine Statistics Authority will release its June labor force survey. We all know that currently, beginning 2021, the PSA is already conducting a monthly labor force survey. So we have yet to see the impact, but we're looking at a better employment climate in June when PSA release its result maybe a month or two from now.
Okay, now
We
given that, go ahead.
we just actually finished the labor force survey for June, so we have yet to see the final results of their analysis.
Okay, given that, Asik Tutay, how many jobs are you targeting to create by year end, and how do you plan to achieve this?
Maybe we have to, well, yeah, you have heard about the 1 million jobs that was committed by the Employers Confederation of the Philippines in partnership with the Nurse Task Force, or the National Employment Recovery Strategy Task Force, which is being headed by Secretary Mon Lopez and co-chaired by Secretary Bebot Bello of DOLE and Isidro La Peña of TESDA. So they have negotiated with us, and they have committed 1 million jobs at the end of 2021. And this is on top of the additional jobs that the economy will gain as we further recover and complete our vaccination program. Hopefully, we have that herd immunity on or before end of this year also, so that we can bring back the confidence of our workers and also our businesses.
Okay, 1 million jobs by year end. Do you feel that this is an achievable target?
The private sector, of course, committed that they can deliver that, provided that the government will also assist them. One, in terms of the vaccination program. The other is in terms of facilitating the sourcing of skills, because most of the companies now find it hard to really get workers because they already source their talents from one LGU or from one region to another, and they are finding it difficult because most of the LGUs would have their different protocols, and that's where they are asking assistance also from the government. Third is the transport, because we know that public transport is not yet full 100% operational, and people would still find it difficult in terms of mobility. They find it hard to move from one area to another, or going from their home to their workplaces. So that's the other thing that the private sector requested assistance from the government.
Mhm. But do you feel like there is any sector in particular here which you are hopeful will help achieve that 1 million target by year end? Is there any particular industry here that you think will benefit the most here, which you think will generate the majority, or at least a lion's share of the jobs that you are hoping to generate?
Yeah, we are looking at construction sector because most of the build projects are still very much implemented now. And then the information technology and business process outsourcing is also one of the potential jobs, not just direct jobs, but also indirect jobs. And then also committed in the 1 million jobs would be coming from the semiconductors and electronics, which is in boom actually, and looking forward to a better prospects, not just this year but also in the coming years. And finally, the tourism-related sectors, especially the hospitality, because they want really to recover. They were the ones badly affected when COVID-19 hit, and they are also the ones who find it hard to recover because of the so many restrictions. But hopefully, before the end of this year, they can finally have that maybe 50% or 75% back to operations.
Would you say though that this is not no longer going to be Metro Manila centric? That jobs, multiple jobs, will be created even outside NCR, or do you have any specific locations in mind that's going to be a focus as well?
We're afraid this will still be Manila centric and also in the nearby regions such as the Calabar zone and also central Luzon areas, because the ones that are asking actually our assistance are coming mostly from the Calabar zone areas, because they have said that they already saturated the labor market there, and they start to look for supply of skills. So they are really requesting assistance from us to facilitate the movement of the job seekers from one area to their area.
Now, shifting a bit here, you have more establishments and businesses returning to their physical setting. Is the Labor Department open to the idea of creating safe spaces as propositioned by the private sector for both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated?
I haven't. We haven't thought about it yet. But the thing there is there should be no discrimination whether you are vaccinated or not. What is important is we strongly encourage all the workers to get vaccinated, and we respect also the decision of the workers. And it's not that should not be the reason why they can be discriminated within the workplace.
Now, lastly, what's the next normal going to look like for the labor force? Is this something that you are already setting your sights on?
We believe that the labor market under the new normal requires digital skills. So everybody should take advantage of the various tooling, reskilling, and upskilling provided not just by the government but also by the private sector. We're also working with industry themselves to have that industry-led skills training, because at the end of the day, they will be the ones who will benefit from the workers that they will be able to train.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Again, Labor Assistant Secretary Dominique Tutay. Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure. Good afternoon.
And those are the biggest stories this trading day, July 2, 2021. Catch Business World Live again Monday next week, 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe. Philippines, have a great weekend.